And now Linda Sumter is going to talk to us about our Centennial celebrations that we're taking every month and celebrating a different decade as we get up to our Centennial celebration next June.
Thank you. Good morning. This month we're celebrating the 50s, so we're getting into the era where you guys can fact check me because some of you probably remember the 50s. So President Truman started the decade and Dwight David Eisenhower ended the decade. Our governors were Earl Warren, names you are familiar with now, right? Goodwin Knight, and Pat Brown was elected in 1959. In 1950, there were 251,000 people in Long Beach. By 1960, there were 341,000 people in Long Beach. So it was growing, post-war boom, just like everybody in the United States. In 1954, the city of Lakewood was incorporated as the first contract city in the United States. And if you're interested, there's a delightful little book called Holy Land by a Lakewood person named J.D. Waldy. He lives in the house his parents originally purchased when Lakewood was built. And it's in the library. I have a copy if you want to borrow it. You will learn things about Lakewood, like how they developed the mall. They didn't want people to see cars parked on when you were driving by the mall, so they made the parking areas next to the buildings a little bit lower, so you really couldn't see them. I mean, it's an interesting way to look at how we did things in the 50s. The east side of Long Beach was growing. Whaley Park was developed in 1950. Hoff's Hut opened in 1951. Yay, Hoff's Hut, right? 24 hours a day down on 2nd Street, right? The Long Beach Museum of Art started in 1950. The Dodgers moved to California in 1958. Disneyland opened in 1955. The polio vaccine was invented in 1953. And television became the internet of the day, which was ruining all children because they were staying home and watching things like I Love Lucy and... Okay, so you all know I Love Lucy's in black and white, right? But we all know she had red hair, so figure that one out. The way they made television in those days, you knew that. $64,000 question, Gunsmoke, you know, there were family life like Leave It to Beaver, and then there was family life like the Cramdens. Which one would you want to be? And here at Bay Shore, so you've heard that last decade, we decided that the chapel was too small for the number of people that were coming and decided to build this building. So in the fall of 1949, we borrowed $40,000, broke ground, and in November of 1950, we dedicated this building. So things moved along. Now, you've all also heard the stories of Reverend Milt Gabrielson, who probably worked 12 to 16 hours a day. Those who knew him, this is what I've been reading. He tires me out just reading. He did a lot of the woodwork in here. His wife, who has a degree in Christian education and art, designed all of the stained glass windows. So we had 2 for 1 when we had them. Let's see. The value of the building at that time was $200,000. The exterior of the building and the floor plan is pretty true to the original design that we saw in 1925 with that original brochure. So he got us all the way to here, and we celebrated our 25th anniversary, but he was just getting started. Somebody gave us the land where the youth center is. 1950. So Milt started a fundraising campaign seeking community support. And the head of that campaign was a man named Don May, which some of you old-timers might remember. He owned a restaurant on 2nd Street called the Leilani, because tiki torches were really in the 50s. And he also was the instigator and the one we have to thank for the trees in the bay. He built the first tree and stuck it on a raft and pulled it through Alameda's Bay, and is now, we look forward to having more than one tree in the bay every year. This was to become a community center for youth, and the slogan was, help a child today to help him help himself tomorrow. And the goal was to have an activities director, and there would be, kind of almost like a Y, but not in the sense that there were athletic activities. There was going to be wood shop and crafts and other kinds of character building hobbies taught. The building was finished in 1954, sorry. But we were never able to afford to hire an activities director. However, that building is well used. The first use of it was by Boy Scout Troop number 44, which was chartered here in 1928. So we've always been a Boy Scout home. Those of you, there are some here that knew Gabrielson, as I said before. In 8 years, from 1952 to 1959, we had 7 associate ministers. Draw your own conclusion as to why. I can't find anything in any of the archives that indicate why we had 7, but we had 7. We supported missionaries in Japan at a school for children who were left orphaned by the atomic bombs after World War II. The chimes are a memorial to this missionary's father, who was a member of Bayshore, and the windows in the nave are dedicated to his mother. So we were doing that. Children at Lowell Elementary School came to our church after school for religious lessons once a week. At that time, we didn't supply the teaching staff. It was supplied by the Long Beach Area Council of Churches. And in 1954, right after the youth center opened, we invited a group of blind people to meet there once a month because they didn't have any impediments. They could walk around, they could do whatever they wanted, and they stayed in the youth center for many, many years. Another first was the beginning of the Christmas Family Workshop on the first Friday of December of each year. Many of us thought Louise Henry started this, but no. Louise carried it on, but she was not the originator of this. There were tables set up to do crafts. There was a chicken dinner served, or hot dogs, and many people in the neighborhood just came to get the chicken dinner and the fellowship, right? And watch the kids hammer and glue and glitter. Youth programs were highly valued at this church, the Bayshore Youth Fellowship for high school. Now, high school in the 50s in Long Beach was 10th, 11th, and 12th. It wasn't 4 years, it was 3. Was the most active group we had in the church. They supported the camping program at Pilgrim Pines, and they initiated the fellowship time between the 2 services and served the coffee. Cynthia, where are you? Yeah, we need those kids back. Even though we had a bigger sanctuary and we could get everybody in on one service, Reverend Gabrielson absolutely believed if you taught Sunday school, you needed to be in church afterwards. So there were still 2 services for many years here. And so to celebrate the 50s, I know we're going to have pie for Veterans Day, but please enjoy the fellowship time and remember the students who used to do it for us. Thank you. I don't want